Hello and welcome to episode 164 of Gamers on the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Antony Justin, and joining me this week, it's a man who is counting down the days until he can play with his Gooigi. It's James Thomas.
Should never play with your Gooigi in public. Your mother should have taught you better.
You're gonna be playing with your Gooigi on the train, in bed, at work.
Put it away, James.
Just put your hello, James. Hello, sir. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good. I'm still actually debating whether to take the day off from work for Gooigi and friends, because we're trying to organise some sort of Halloween thing at work. So hopefully we can do a light touch one, then I can feel no guilt about just going home and playing Luigi the entire day long. That is the hope. That would
just be so good. Are you have you already ordered it? Is it digital? Are you doing it physical?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, no, I've pre-ordered digital because I'm that sort of schmuck, because they put the 2 times gold coin bonus thing on the pre-order, and also there was no way I wasn't going to get it. Like, it could honestly be a stinker. I know it won't be, but I would have played it anyway. And because I've so very rarely pre-order games. I think I've pre-ordered Hitman and Zelda and Luigi this year total, or whatever it was. Yeah, it's there, it's ready. The icon is sat on my Switch, taunting me.
And every day you just press it just to see, just in case.
No, not even press it, just stroke it. Lovingly waiting.
Just kind of just move it backwards and forwards every now and then. Just go, soon, my pretty, soon. Oh, that's just going to be so good. Oh, I can't wait to play the game. I saw I'm like you, I'm kind of staying away. I don't want to know too much, but I think there was I got an email this morning from Nintendo, basically just kind of like detailing more about like Luigi's Mansion. I think the site is now live, Luigi's Mansion 3.nintendo.com or something like that. And there was just some assets there, and they were showing all of the images and things like that, and all the weapons and gadgets rather than weapons. And I was just like, oh god, this game just looks so good. I just can't wait. Can't wait to play it. It just looks so good.
Because there's a fellow Luigi fan at work who sits only a couple of desks away, and he and I basically saw the links of the extended gameplay videos and go, no. This stay away. I want this to be a surprise. I want this to be nice and just a fresh experience. But he also showed me, and I'm desperately trying to find it while I talk, but there's also, I think, being announced tomorrow as we record this, a really nice / expensive Luigi figurine, and I'm desperately trying to find it. But those really high quality multiple £100 ones that you can see at games conventions, because there's also a really nice Kirby one that's quite large. So there's going to be a that's it, F4F. Right. There is going to be a Luigi's Mansion 3 PVC statue. And they're always huge. They're about, I think they've done a Banjo one. I think they've done definitely done a Kirby one. And they're all about a foot to 18 inches tall. Wow. And they're just exquisitely done. They work on just quality. But they also do a limited edition one, and I can't remember what the variations for Kirby and Banjo were. I think it was they're different poses, or there's a gold Jiggy rather than a painted yellow Jiggy, that sort of thing. And so we're all fearing what the limited edition version of Luigi's Mansion 3 is going to be. Right, if we're going with Working Torch maybe coming out of the blaster.
Yes.
I was even for the step beyond that. Do you remember the room guards that you used to get? This is more like a toy. Yeah. So you could get the I guess elf on a shelf type thing, where you sit it somewhere and you walk past it and a motion sensor just triggers an action.
Yes.
So what I would just take my money. If they had that in the end of the Luigi's Vacuum. Yes. And every time you walk past, the light came on and you just go, Mario?
Oh my god, that would be so good.
That's my dream. We'll find out if that comes true tomorrow as I book out the boardroom for me and Aaron to watch out that trailer.
Oh my goodness! You just have to have if that happened, you could have that somewhere prominent in the house, so it just kept going all the time. I'm sure Ali would love that.
Before Ali just bins it off. Yes.
Suddenly it's out for recycling one day. Oh, that just sounds so cool. That just sounds so good. You'll have to, I'm sure you'll be tweeting the link at some point. Will it be kind of something like you'll kind of make sure that you can secure yours before you share it on social media? Like, I'm
not sure, because they are horrifically expensive at times. So I need to find out what that value is before plunging into it all. But yeah.
Oh, the soul searching you're going to do tomorrow. It's like, how much do I love Luigi? Is it this much? Do you have a buffer of like where you'll be in your head?
How much can I hide from Ali on the joint account? That's where we're going for at this point.
For quote unquote essential purchases.
Raiding the emergency fund.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Speaking of kind of all those kind of all things, James Thomas, how have you been, sir? What have you been up to?
A bit of a mix over the last few weeks. We went camping a couple of weeks ago. Managed to get the last few good days of summer before the rain set in. We didn't get to go away over the actual summer break itself, so we thought we'd take the tent, head over to Norfolk Way and just chill in a field for a few days. So like visited the local towns like Kings Lynn and a bit of the coastline there. Found a mill. We found a windmill that actually did its own flour and made Belgian buns at the base of it. It was lovely. But it was a good few days out. Other than that, been getting back into the pinball arcade that's just down the road. I can't remember have I spoken about the pinball on the pod?
I think you have. I think it's just such a happy place. It's such a because something you just found it one day, didn't you? You just kind of found this pinball haven down the road from you. Yeah,
it's on Ali's route back from work, and so she came back and going like, the working man's club has turned into a pinball arcade. Is that okay? But since last we spoke, they've got a Jurassic Park machine.
No way.
So that is absorbing all my money right now. I think we're going tomorrow night with some of Ali's friends from work. So that's it. Like, just give me some coins, stick me on the table, and I'll be as happy as anything. But it also features one of my favourite / worst things about some of the licensed pinball machines. Like, so if they're tied in, they work really well. So there's some little nice bits where you get to throw the ball through raptor pens, and you get dinosaurs jiggling as in response at the top. There's a T-Rex that the ball can come out the mouth of. It's amazing. But the voice samples are some of the worst things I have ever heard on the face of this earth. They're not from the film. They're not from the actors. They're not even from sound-alikes. They are from what I can only assume is the dev team or some cheap outsource going, can you do a Muldoon impression? But they can't even now. We are yet to determine whether it is supposed to be John Hammond or Muldoon, but one of them sounds like Hagrid.
Oh my goodness.
And anyone who's seen Jurassic Park, I think, will know it's probably not some sort of big bearded groundskeeper giving you the instructions to stay away from the raptor, but it is just awful. I was offended at first, but the longer I play the table, the funnier I get as I try and figure out who does what.
Oh my god. Do they have a Jeff Goldblum?
Possibly.
But they just asked around the warehouse. It's like, does anyone do a Jeff Goldblum impression? A really bad one?
They've got a Samuel L. Jackson just about.
Right.
People are like, this is Nedra's code, and I probably could get hired with the quality of that impression right now.
Oh my goodness, that just sounds so good. But
yeah, we took some friends down there last week who wanted to do Experience as well, and they've got this. One of them actually came up with a great idea, and it's on my list of things I've tried to play this month as well. Where when you actually try and get to a new table. The principle remains the same. Like, you've got to keep the ball, equivalent of up in the air, on the table, shoot the flashy bits, and you might get some scores, unlock some missions, etc., etc. But to actually figure out what is going on is a bit harder. That's either going to take you time, money, or staring at the table when nothing's going on and you look a bit weird.
Got you.
So he got the brilliant idea, and what's it called? He downloaded Pinball Arcade. Now, this is a game that's been knocking around, I think, since the 360 era. And it's one of those games that's like, you download the shell for free. Like, you literally just get a baseline executable that's free. And then you download and pay for the individual tables or packages of tables. So he found a couple of tables that he enjoyed, like one of the newest Star Trek ones, and I think it's like Medieval Madness or something like that. And then was playing it like the next couple of days in Pinball Arcade to try and... It's not the same feel, but you start to understand the rules and the mechanics just that little bit more. You know, when it says shoot at the left ramp to do this or that, or, you know, trap the raptors in this and that, he was basically using his practice, which is genius, absolute genius. So he's got me doing that now. I've downloaded Pinball Arcade and trying to find a few of the tables. So they don't have all the tables around. They obviously can do certain deals with certain manufacturers. So I couldn't find the Jurassic Park table, but yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. Yeah, it's got a few tables that are down the local arcade. So yeah, practicing.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So the tables that you have in Pinball Arcade, are they like a 1-for-1? Are they like a like for like of kind of? Oh, yeah, that's really good. Wow.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
So they take a bit of liberty with some of them, because I think looking through, they have a Jurassic Park table, I think, from like probably about 10 years ago, and then they've got two variations of that are definitely only possible in video games, because they have a Stegosaurus that comes onto the table and flicks the ball with its tail. So they obviously take advantage of their digital only medium at that point. But yeah, I think it must be quite a clever business mechanic, because I guess they only pay for what they license and sell. So
that's really cool. That's really cool. I did notice on the last Inside Xbox there was a pinball game that was coming to the PC only. I think it was coming to PC as part of Game Pass, and there was a new pinball game, and they were saying basically they're bringing back like video game pinball. So rather than
cool.
kind of, you know, taking those liberties that you can only do with a video game, rather than the physics of a pinball table. And I just thought that was really cool. I think it's PC only. I can't remember what the name of the game was. But it was really interesting to see, you know, kind of like I think even the chap was saying there's been a lot of like emulation like you're looking at here, but what they want to do is kind of be really kind of video gamey with this pinball. And it was like, you know, pinball death metal arcade game or whatever. But it sounded really good and it looked really cool as well.
Oh, nice. I will keep an eye after Creature in the Well and everything like that. I feel there is a scope to go back to, because one of my favourite games on the NES was always Pinball.
Right.
Which, another one of those that I never realised Rare did till I got there. But yeah, that takes liberty. Like, it's based on an actual game, so most of it is exactly the same. But then suddenly aliens come down and eat your ball. Sounds good.
What else have you been up to? Was that it? I mean, that's
that's pretty much it. Bits and pieces.
Cool.
How about yourself, sir? Have you been up to much?
Kind of since we last potted, I think kind of one thing worth noting or worth chatting about was we went to see Joker last Saturday. We went to see the new Joaquin Phoenix Todd Phillips Joker movie. Oh my god. It was really funny because there was a couple of guys from work. They were going last night, and they just said to me, like, when we were at work, they said, like, "What's it like?" And I said, "This movie is fantastic. It's dark. It's heavy." It's awesome, but I never want to see it again. You know, I just kind of it's all of these things, but it's something that I only want to kind of really kind of experience once. You know, I can't see myself sitting down on a Saturday night going, "Do you know what I want to watch? Joker." You know,
kick back and relax with a Joker.
Exactly. Get the popcorn because it's time to watch Joker. I mean, it's a fantastic movie, and the soundtrack is amazing, and just the whole feel of the movie. It feels very Dark Knight-ish, but it's a lot darker than that. But it's just so dour. It's just such it's a movie where kind of, and I won't spoil it for anyone, but it's kind of a movie where kind of when it does get to its crescendo, you're kind of happy for characters that are there. You know, you really want this to happen, and it's an incredible movie. It's really well acted, and I think Joaquin Phoenix will definitely be kind of in the Oscar runnings for it. But it's just one of those movies that I was just like, we came out, and Nicola and I came out afterwards. We were like, "Oh, that was deep, wasn't it?" You know, we were like, that was dark, and it was just we ended up going for Five Guys, and we just kind of sat there, and we were just like, God, that was just sad. And we just kept talking about all the different bits, you know, and it was just, and it definitely invoked a conversation. And those guys who went last night, you know, I've been chatting chatting to them about it, and both of them were like, yeah, you were right, that was really deep and dark and just really kind of an honest movie, but at the same time just very disturbing, very visually, and also kind of what the character's going through is quite disturbing.
Yeah, because I've been listening to some reviews and what have you, and I couldn't understand when there were some like pieces on certain more pop culture websites going like, Joker doesn't have a post-credit scene. What the hell? It's like, no, this isn't your Marvel just popcorn film. This is grit. This is pure grit going on.
Absolutely. And it was quite funny. One of the chaps, he said, is there any post-credit scenes? I was like, no, it's just not that kind of movie. It really just, and, but yeah, it's one of those movies that it's just going to definitely be, there's different theories about the movie, so there's definitely one that you can kind of talk about. Once people have seen it, you can kind of chat about the different theories that are going on in the movie. But it's just it's kind of a king of comedy, Taxi Driver kind of feel, and having Robert De Niro in there really kind of makes it feel like that. So if you know those movies, you know the kind of tone that this is setting, and it's such a great movie, but it is just one that just really did. It just left a mark afterwards. I gave it in my Letterboxd scoring. I gave it 4 stars because I just think it was a really good movie, but it's just one that I'm never going to repeat ever again. And I was just like, but it was just so good. It was, and I just don't know. I mean, part of me would love to see a Batman come up against that Joker. I'd love to see Robert Pattinson's Batman, which is the next one we're getting, come up against that Joker. But there's about 30 years between them, so it means that the Joker will be quite old and crusty by the time he faced Batman, or you would face a young Batman. So it would just be really interesting to kind of see where I don't think this is starting something. I think what they're doing right now with DC is having these standalone movies, that's just like, okay, this is just a Joker movie, and that's it. It's not, this is going to springboard into the next Batman movie. I really do feel that this is just a movie on its own, and one that just needs to be where it is, and that's it. But I would, when we came out, I just said to Nicola, I said, God, I'd love to see a Batman go up against that Joker, because it would just be a really interesting take on both their dynamics, because it really, the whole movie, as well as kind of feeling like Taxi Driver, and it kind of felt like The Killing Joke, which is one of my favourite graphic novels, one I reread recently, an Alan Moore Batman graphic novel, which kind of and it really had, it was almost like the Killing Joke was very much the kind of the vibe that they were going for. It was like, this is what we're looking at. It was definitely kind of one of those pieces, but it just really felt like that. It felt like the Killing Joke. So I kind of came out and I was like, oh, I just want to see Batman go up against that guy. It was very good.
Oh, grand. Yeah, it's one that I'm not going to go to the cinema for, but I'm very much looking forward when it gets to streaming services at some point, because I think it attracts me a lot more than a lot of the Marvel stuff does. I finally watched Endgame. I keep wanting to say End War, but that's a Tom Clancy game,
yes.
I think. Finally watched the wrapping up of that, and it's like I felt more obliged to,
right.
just because of watching 10 years of movies on and
Yes.
off. Whereas something like the Joker seems to have, and this is going to sound slightly snobbish for someone who actually doesn't go to the cinema that often, slightly more artistic merit in a one-off stand, and so I'm intrigued to find out what they do with that, because it's the darker Batman movies I think have always worked better than the George Clooney's nipples. Yes. And if they keep on going down that route, it could be interesting. But then you see the Harley Quinn movie as well, and well, what do you make of the Harley Quinn trailer?
I'm lost for words, which is a first for me. I kind of watched it and I was like, okay, I will go along and see this, I'll go along and see this movie, but I was shocked at, it's almost like in Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn was one of the standouts, and everybody kind of really liked that character. So they are just kind of betting down on that one character. Obviously, they've got the Birds of Prey there, but they didn't really kind of show much of those guys. And I was just like, even Nicola was like, this just looks bananas. I was like, I know, right? I'm excited, but I just can't be at the same time. So I'm a bit kind of torn with that one at the moment. I'll wait and see another trailer. Like I say, me, I'll go along and see anything anything that has kind of maybe a tie-in or a connection to Batman. But it'd be really interesting if the Joker appears in that movie, because if you had Jared Leto's Joker and then now you've got Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, you know, there's just like it's confusion for say the non-comic booky movie-going crowd. What did you think of it?
It's all right. It was weird to, like, supposedly, like, the Birds of Prey is like a group of lady villains. Is that correct?
Oh, not just villains. I mean, the Huntress is kind of one of Batman's allies in Gotham. So they're more kind of they are kind of heroes and villains, really. So
it just seemed like the Harley Quinn show again, and I think almost after the Suicide Squad was just a mess.
Yeah.
In my mind, it was just a mess, and so just to see her put back in another ensemble situation, it's almost disappointing. I don't know whether they just don't think she can. The character can carry a film on her own without having some more straighter foils to play off against, but.
And I thought it's very interesting that Ewan McGregor was Black Mask as well. Black Mask has actually been in one of the Arkham Knight games. You know, has been in one of the Arkham Asylum games as well. So they've had that as a character there. But it was just so you got Black Canary, you have Huntress. So both of those are kind of they are kind of really DC heroes rather than villains. But it will be interesting to see. But you're absolutely right. You know, the character Harley Quinn could definitely kind of hold her own. If she holds her own in a comic book, she has her own comic book, so it's kind of it's almost like we just need to add a couple of extras in here. You know, it's like I guess it's like Deadpool, isn't it? You know, it kind of really, that trailer for me really felt like the director had definitely watched Deadpool maybe one too many times. You know, it really kind of felt like a bit like that.
Yes.
And I'm sure we're going to get some fourth wall breaking as well at some point.
Oh, it's always good. I always like a TV program or a film that's occasionally just nods at that every now and again.
A bit of a wink. Or as Ferris Bueller kind of, I think Ferris Bueller was the first time that I maybe came across that, and that blew my brain. I absolutely loved it. You know, right at the end of Ferris Bueller, spoiler alert, when he comes out of the shower and he's like, go home, and it was I loved it. I love that sort of stuff. But I think that's it really. I think that's kind of where, I think that's it for me. It was like the Joker movie, which was just, it was so good, but it was one of those ones that
it's still affecting.
It really has.
You
It
now.
really has. It was like when I was chatting to those guys this morning, I was just like, but I want to listen to the soundtrack. Was amazing. The soundtrack, the songs they used were really kind of daunting, really kind of amazing. There were some really good set pieces. So I want to listen to the soundtrack. The score is up on iTunes, Spotify, but the soundtrack's not there yet. So I was hoping maybe someone will put together a playlist or something like that, or maybe I'll have to do it because there was just some really good songs that were being played throughout the movie.
Serving the masses.
Exactly. Right. Well, that's what we've been up to. James, what have you been playing?
First up, I have been playing the Untitled Gooooooooooooooose Game.
Goose, press Y to honk.
The goose. There's basically a phrase that's now started going around our household where, if you're caught doing something you might necessarily shouldn't, like just stealing chocolates from the tin or something like that, you just have to go away, go, I didn't do it, don't blame me, I'm just a goose.
That's superb.
Because every time we started playing Untitled Goose Game, Ali was like, you're being very mean. Just like, you can't blame me, I'm just a goose. And I just start waddling off and honking in the different direction. You've played Goose? I
am indeed. I am playing UGG. I am playing the Untitled Goose Game.
The UGG, as no one is calling it. I've got mixed feelings on the Goose Game because I think it is full of charm and fun, but it just seems clunky in certain ways. It seems like it's a really nice idea that just have some rough edges, because running around a level, and for those of you who don't know, you are a goose. And you run around a level and try and cause havoc. And you're given a little list of objectives to complete, like stealing carrots from a gardener, maybe trying to set up a picnic by moving sandwiches and things, or even one of my favourite ones recently was having to... actually, they all involve stealing at some point in time, because gooses are, evil, apparently. So I had to steal a boy's toy and then put it in a shop and nudge the shop owner to price it back up and make the boy buy back his own toy.
So is that what you've got to do with that? Because I got stuck on that. I was playing it last night because we'll talk about Link's Awakening in a moment. But I was doing that section, so I'd done everything else, but I locked the boy or made the boy kind of hide in the telephone box, which made me chuckle so much. I just stayed outside honking, and for me, every time I press Y to honk, it's almost like the goose is swearing. You know, it's kind of because he just honks with such attitude. You know, I just love it. So whenever I'm doing it in my head, he's just swearing. And then the last item in my checklist was to get him to get someone to buy back something. And I was like, how do I do it? Because I put the plane in the shop, but then the shopkeeper just threw it out. I think you have to do it without them knowing, don't you?
Yes, yeah, you have to sneak it in there and then not.
Got you.
But I think this is almost the problem in the sense that you have to do things quite specifically, which, you know, it's not a bad thing because you get rewarded for sneaking around and trying to avoid detection, which is a complete opposite from, you know, the fun, which is just literally spreading your wings and walking through the town square going honk honk. There's an absolute joy in just being an evil goose that goes around it. And then when you actually try and complete some of the missions, they're either slightly obtuse or they just don't work quite as you expect. There's just a clunkiness there, I think, with the physics or just like the slight mechanics there. And it's good. It's just, I think you always want the best for these concepts that sound really inspiring, but it just doesn't reach the heights I think the concept sets out. But as a, you know, friendly Hitman sort of game of stealthing around, trying to avoid detection, it's quite good fun. And it benefits from only being probably about 3 hours long. So you don't get too bored with it. You don't have to rinse the same mechanics over and over again. Because I think if they added like a 5th or a 6th level, then it would wear thin. It would wear thin.
Yes, I found I was chuckling away to myself last night. Nicola was playing Overcooked, and I was playing the Goose Game, and I was hiding under a table waiting for the shopkeeper or for the to go and sweep up somewhere so I could go and nick a hairbrush. And I was just under the table, and I could just see like my tail was popping out from under the table, and it just made me chuckle so much. And Nicola was like, "Why are you laughing? You're putting me off. What are you doing?" You know, and I was just like, and it really made me laugh. It really made me chuckle.
Yeah. There is honestly just great fun about walking up. They've got the animations of the goose down to a T. There's something just very pleasing about waddling through the level. But I find just fun just standing in front of NPCs and honking.
Yes.
And they'll stand and stare at you, and they'll just start to turn honk. And they'll stare at you, and they'll just start turning around, and just feel like I'm just toying with you. You are all puppets dancing to my controls. They open up more objectives as well when you finish the game, and I think I am giving it a break because I'm playing Link's Awakening now. But it does seem like the game that you can just then pop back to, spend 15 minutes honking around the neighbourhood, and then duck out to another game. So I'm looking forward to going back in a week or two's time after that.
Fantastic. Yeah, no, for me that's kind of because I've finished Link's Awakening, which we'll get to in a moment. For me, the Goose Game is kind of it's my train game at the moment. So, you know, it's that game to just kind of jump back into. So it's quite nice. I'll either be that and Slay the Spire, but I quite like the idea of like jumping on the train and just playing the Goose Game until I guess we have to wait until Luigi's Mansion 3. I think that's kind of when the next game for the Switch. I think
22 days.
Oh my goodness!
As we record,
you've got a big sign on your desk, haven't you? 22 days until.
If I turn the webcam around, you will see the countdown.
It's there.
But the Switch is being kept busy as we were both playing Link's Awakening as well. And I up until Breath of the Wild, I actually always preferred the 2D Zeldas to the 3D Zeldas, and this is just hitting me right in the feels again for that. I have memories of playing this back on the Game Boy, back in the school playground.
Wow!
Borrowing it from my friend Gareth, and it's long enough ago that I have these vague, like, I think I remember that. I think I remember this rooster that's in the middle. I think I but everything then is new.
Right.
Like all the puzzles and everything around the world just feels new. There's just that sort of like just flash of a deja vu every now and again. But you can also tell that it's an older Zelda. Like although they've revamped it and coloured it and everything like that, there's certain mechanics that you feel is a bit old school. It's very traditional. Go through these 8 dungeons in order. You'll pick up all the items as you go, as Zelda has done every single time apart from Breath of the Wild. But I love that because it means there is a certain language that people have been through the series before sort of understand. I remember going into the dungeon going like, this is where I pick up the hook shot because of this, this and this. And there's like an anticipation and then fun of actually just using that new tool in the dungeon that's specifically designed for it, and I love that. But the overworld as well. The overworld, I think, is just packed with little nuggets every now and again. And even if it's not that finding Korok seeds or aspects, you can find seashells hidden in places. But there's also the ability to just go and talk to the different NPCs around, and they'll always give you like a little cue of like, oh, you know what a girl would really like? I'd really like a hibiscus flower. It's like, I remember that. Because there's the chain. I'd completely forgotten about the chain of like fetching and finding and delivering goods to everyone. And eventually, I think I built up the web of going like, right, I think there's 12 people who all need something. And like the only thing I haven't got is or at least the only thing I haven't chained together is where the first one is. And then the moment I got that first one, like, okay, I need this to poke the bees, and he'll give me that, and I can give that to her, then she'll and it was just like this ripple effect, and I had an actually really joyful, like, 40 minutes of just running around the map going, here you go, do you want this? And then getting something else and finding someone under a bridge. It was just lovely. It was lovely, that. Just a payoff of... Because the side quests are always just usually missions, aren't they?
Yes.
Go and kill this, go and save this village. But this was such a nice little different twist. It was just a hide and seek effectively by a different variant that had a nice payoff at the end.
And I think that, I don't know if you heard a couple of weeks ago when I think maybe I was just talking to Stuart about it. I think that's kind of when it kind of broke my brain because I wasn't aware of this. I'd never played Link's Awakening before, so I was coming in with this completely fresh, and I didn't know about this chain. And so I was like, I spent a good kind of half an hour just going, what do you want from me? What do you want? And I had to,
I can't find the hibiscus.
Exactly. I was like, I don't know what this bear needs. So I ended up going to, I think, a Eurogamer article. They only did a walkthrough of like the first 2 dungeons, so it was very early on because I was playing the game straight away, and so it was great. So that I didn't use that again, because sometimes when you get a walkthrough, it's very easy just to go, I'll just have a look now. I wanted to be able to work it out for myself, but it just gave me that nudge. It went, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, and I was like, right, got you. Now I know what I'm doing. And then I just fell in love with this game. Just playing it. It just. I don't know about you, but I've heard a lot of reports about frame rate and things like that, and I've been playing it completely undocked, as a handheld, and I haven't really noticed those problems. I haven't really noticed those. I've got it. I'm using a cartridge actually because I've got a cartridge so Nicola can play it after me as well because the Nintendo game sharing sucks. So I've got a cartridge so Nicola can play it as well, and I haven't noticed frame rate. Have you kind of had any of these problems where people?
Oh yes. Yeah. No, I've noticed it, but I only have it when you seem to come out of a dungeon or a house and the whole world seems just load back in.
Right.
So I can only assume it's you come back out, it's everyone's spinning up, everyone's getting initialized, everyone's getting allocated, go, and the CPU is just sort of like catching up at that point in time. But it hasn't. I think it's chugged it on occasion, but I've never found it when I've actually been going through the world. To a noticeable degree. Like I don't claim to be that frame rate sensitive. Like I can tell a 30 from a 60, but if you vary up and down slightly, it's
yeah, because I know Digital Foundry did a thing where they were showing like kind of frame rates, and that was really interesting. I was just watching it because I really enjoyed just watching Richard Ledbetter kind of talk about frame rates and things. And he was like, and this guy raises up this cup, and then suddenly it drops to like 4 frames per second, but then goes straight back up again to like 60, 30, and it was really interesting to see. But like I say, say, it hadn't. I like the fact that when you do go into a dungeon or you come out of a dungeon, that it's just refreshed the entire area. So you've got more grass to cut, you've got more hearts and rubies to kind of find and things like that, and that's helped me quite a few times. So how far are you in? How far are you in with Link's Awakening?
I've just started into the 7th dungeon, and I've only been there for 15 minutes, but I think my brain is getting pickled by it. Because it's one of the, and this isn't a spoiler, but you know in Zelda where you get the switches where you either have the red bit of the floor raised or the blue bit of the floor raised.
Yes.
I'm in that, and so cannot find my way round for love nor money. And the map doesn't help. The map doesn't show all the walls that are there, the tiny walls or the raised bits. So I'm making liberal use of the little markers that you can drop down on it.
Yes. Well, my favourite thing at the moment is, when I was playing through it, was finding those little walls with cracks. You know, every now and then you would just see a wall with a crack, which is a really good shortcut or where you need to go. So the 7th dungeon, is that the one where you have columns that you've got to... is that the one with the ball that you've got to take around?
There was a ball.
Or was that the 6th dungeon?
I think I think this is the one with the ball, because I threw that on. I threw it onto some of the blue raised bits and then couldn't get it back.
Right.
And then thought, oh well, I'll save and come back.
Oh
later.
yeah, that was a tricky customer, that dungeon. That was really and I love the fact that, as you're saying, it is very old school kind of video games, and I love the fact that as I've said in our kind of WhatsApp chat, you know, I almost put this game away. You know, I almost gave the cartridge to Nicola and said, you can play it now, you know, take this away from me on the last boss, because I found the last boss has 6 or 7 different waves, and I found a particular wave was just really, when I figured out what I needed to do, or what I thought I needed to do, it was still kind of cleaning my clock every time, and it was so. But the problem was when I restarted, it took me to the start of the dungeon, and then I had to then go and fill up my hearts, get a fairy for a bottle. So what I decided to do was I actually filled up all my hearts, got 2 fairy bottles. There's one that can be found on the end of a hook, I will say, as a hint. And so I got 2 fairy bottles, filled those up, and then I saved the game just at the entrance to that final kind of dungeon. I saved the game there, and that's the game save that I kept coming back to every time I got killed by this final boss. And last night I finally did it. I've never been so, because I was like, I'm just going to give it one more go, and then I'm just going to give it one more sitting. And I had a couple of journeys to and fro from London this week already, and I was like, I'm going to give it one more go, and then if I can't do it, then I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up on a video game, which really irked me. And the fact that it was there, and it was like an itch I couldn't scratch. So I was just so, like I say, Nicola's 4-starring Overcooked 2, and so I was just like, right, while she's doing that, I'm just going to sit in the corner nice and quiet, and I am just going to try it again. And I did this, got my other fairy, so I had 2 fairies ready to go. And I managed to do it, and I managed to finish it, and I've just never been so nervous and excited all at the same time. Was this kind of, when I got past the wave that I was having problems with, and I was like, right, I've got past that, and I still had quite a few hearts and a fairy left. I was getting quite excited, and I managed to I think it took me about 5 times last night, and then I managed to get through it, and I was just, I was so happy when it just span around at the end. I was just like, yes, you know, I was just like, when I saw that wind fish, I've never been so happy to see a wind fish in all my life.
Have you found it's hard, apart from your challenge with the final boss? Because I've seen a few people say that it is obtuse, but I haven't really found that. Bar, I think one or 2 situations where I've just like needed to engage my brain, but I haven't found it as bad as people have led me to believe. I thought I'd be getting like stuck and using the wikis and the walkthroughs far more often.
No, I mean, like I say, apart from that first bit, because I just didn't understand the mechanics, and also I think I was saying when I was chatting about it last time, I didn't use the telephone huts, so I wasn't going in and using the telephone.
Oh, you completely avoided them.
Exactly. I did. I was like, what is that? You know, it's just like that guy kept telling me to go away because he was shy, and then I think the walkthrough where you said, oh, and then go into the telephone hut. And then when I realised what they were for, after that, it kind of, I won't say easier, but after that it became more straightforward. The dungeon that you're in right now, that took me a while to that did kind of discombobulate my brain a couple of times. I did kind of go back to the start, went, right, okay, I played my ocarina, went back to the start and was like, right, okay, let's now try and follow this through. Once I kind of figured out some of the mechanics, it definitely was probably one of the most taxing games that I've played in a while, which was fantastic. It really made you think, where you have games like Control or other kind of like leveled games, and you just kind of go with the motion, and you just kind of continue going to the left, or you continue going forward into the screen, and this game made me think, and I really enjoyed it for that, and I just thought it was just really... It just really hit. It was like brain training. I really enjoyed it. I really just enjoyed playing this game. And I'd love them to do some more. I'd love them to do some more of these kind of reimaginings.
Yeah. I always like the older Zeldas as well, because there's the old style Zeldas, because there's a certain like Metroidvania joy about, I've got a new tool.
Yes.
If I remember all the places I can go back to, there's a lot of new places to explore. So yeah, if they bring back some of the other ones, like I've never played, was it Oracle of the Seasons and Oracle of something else, and then the Minish Cap. So if they just even put them on whatever the equivalent of their virtual console is, I'll probably dabble with those.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but my problem is whenever I play a Zelda game, I just really enjoy playing them, and I instantly, along with everyone else, kind of want a remake of Ocarina of Time, want a remake of Wind Waker, or even Twilight Princess, because Twilight Princess is one of the ones I never played, because I think it was on the GameCube, it was the Wii, wasn't it? It was Wii and GameCube, so and there was too much waggling for me. I never played Mario Galaxy. Nicola played Mario Galaxy. I never played Mario Galaxy or Twilight Princess because there was just too much waggle. I wanted to be able to sit down with a good old Pro Controller and play it that way. So I would love to see those games kind of remade, but not just kind of ported, but kind of remade a little bit and kind of shiny. But I really enjoyed the art style of this, and I just hope they, rather than being greedy and ask for full 3D, I just hope they use these kind of art styles and assets to kind of do like the ones you were just talking about there. That would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, do you like the art style?
I do. I really do. I throughout the entire game, I just kept going, oh, look at him. He's just adorable. So what about you? Did you find it pleasing? Did it wear off after a while, or did it?
I think it started to wear off. I like the character design on Link himself, and I love I can never remember the names, but the big-eyed insects that sort of like jump, pause, and then jump on the overworld.
Yes.
They look adorable.
Yes.
Utterly adorable. But yeah, I could take or leave the tilt shift. I think it lost its impact very quickly. So it's, yeah, I don't. If they could give me an option to turn off the filter, I probably would.
Yes. But it was just so good. It was so good. So is that the game that you're kind of mainlining at the moment? You're just kind of staying. I guess once you're in that dungeon, you really don't want to do anything else, do you? You want to stay there, so your mindset's kind of where you are. So, that's just so good. That's so good.
Yeah, I'll probably try and finish it off over the weekend. But because I tried to take a pause between Untitled Goose Game and Link's Awakening, because I tried Mario Kart World Tour.
Okay.
It's
how was it?
It's fine. Like, and I've used this before, but this is like the lower end of fine. Like, for porting a karting game to a phone that you can play one-handed, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine, but it's just nowhere near what Mario Kart should be. Like, they have taken the essence of Mario Kart, they've taken the tracks, and they've put it on a system that isn't completely up to rendering half the classic tracks that they put in there. There's ones from the what was it? The Wii U one that went through underwater. There was a giant snake in there. They've had to remove so much from that to make it work, that it just doesn't feel like it's the same level. Like, there's a few N64 ones on there as well that seem to work because, low poly counts and what have you. So that's always a mark against it. I think if you can't do as justice to the tracks you're doing, then it always feels like a step backwards. But then on top of that, the controls are at one point spongy and also twitchy at the same time, because they ask you to choose between, do you want to, when you touch on the screen, go left or right? Fair enough. Steering, understandable. Or do you, when you want to touch the screen, skid left or right to get the power slides in? And it just means you're constantly fighting between, like, say if you're playing the Yoshi's Island course that is actually in the shape of Yoshi, there's so much sliding, there's so much turning, that you're happy with that ability just to power slide. But then I played the original Mario course from the first one on the SNES. And because of the straights, because of the limited corners there, because it's been the beginner's track, you'd slide around the corner, then you just want to slightly adjust, slightly straighten up. But you could only slide. Yeah. So I just kept having to power slide and then mini power slide. And I just felt like I was snaking, and not even in like the DS cheaty way of you could race. Just like constant course correction because I didn't have the fidelity I wanted going down a straight in a go-kart. And so I just lost the will to care. I probably played it for like an hour or so just to see if I could battle over that, to try and get a grip with the controls. But I just bounced off it because I just felt disheartened that it wasn't what I wanted from Mario Kart. I wanted to be in the tussle. I wanted to have that control. I wanted to be able to slide around and pull back and feel like I could really put that car on a sixpence and drive through the gap, take the shortcuts. But I just didn't trust it. Which is just such a shame, because I was really looking forward to like a potential different take on Mario Kart. Where's that Mario Kart like season track manager racer we talked about last time? Right? That would be amazing.
Exactly.
But this is just a sad shadow in my mind.
Yes, I liked because I'm the same as you. I kind of played it for kind of I think a day, and then deleted it. I just was so frustrated with the control system that it was just and I was flip flopping between the two, and like you say, it was either spongy and you were just power sliding all the time, or it felt quite boring, and the other way just felt very stale. So I kind of ended up. But the one thing I did like, and the one thing I would love them to take through into a Switch Mario Kart, was all of the courses around real worlds. They had like New York and things. I think the first week was New York, and that was really cool. I really liked that. It kind of felt a little bit like New Donk City, but it was really cool. I really liked the fact that they had these real world elements into it. So I was like, a Mario Kart World Tour for Mario Kart 9 sounds like a really good idea on the Switch. It adds those extra levels as they can continue to roll out over time. But it was just like you say, the one that we created I think was just so much better than this, but this game was just fell short, and I just don't know if updates or corrections to this game could even improve it. I don't think there's anything that's going to make me want to kind of reinstall it. No,
unless they did a complete overhaul of the input. And the thing is, I hate to be that person because I complain about it and I can't think of really a better way to do it. But you need to be able to fine tune and slide.
Yes.
So unless you like double tap and then move out, like having worked with Kinect, I know what the problems with motion control gaming are. So you can see why there's limitations. You can see why they want to make it the most simple thing possible. So it's an easy barrier to entry. But I want to know who's spending money in this game, though, as well. Did you have a look at how much all the little packs cost us?
I didn't. I was kind of, I had a look to see who I could unlock, because I kept getting like,
no Luigi.
Well, that's why you deleted it, James.
It's
just like
worst game ever.
Yes, give it 0 stars. It's just, I mean, how bad was it? How bad was it on the...
It was horrific in different ways. So, because this came out at the same time as Apple Arcade came out.
Yes.
And Mario Kart has got a subscription model for £5 a month.
What?
To unlock 200cc and have some other bits and pieces. But you can give them £5 a month to play the fastest course. And I think you get some gems or whatever their currency is in there as well, which gives you a chance of, spinning the roulette wheel and getting a shiny Mario or something like that. But £5 a month.
Wow.
For one game that's not good. And then to top it all up, so they announced, what day is it today? It's today. they announced today that they're moving on from New York to... I'm trying to scan down. I can't see where they're going to. Tokyo. They're going to Tokyo. And to celebrate this, you could pay $38.99.
What the what?
You can pay almost the same price as a full-blown good Mario Kart.
Yes.
To get just Diddy Kong.
What?
And, like, you get 90 gems, and that gives you, like, 18 spins on the roulette or something like that. But you're paying... And I'm angrier than I thought about this. The longer I read,
it's like as you're saying it out loud, it's making you angry.
Yeah, it's down on paper. It's just a number. You say it, and it sounds like you have to pay £40 to get Diddy Kong.
What?
Do me a favour, go to eBay, spend that money on an N64 and Diddy Kong Racing, and dear Lord, you will have a much better time.
$38.99. That is just incredible.
Awful.
I mean, how can who's running Nintendo Mobile? How can Nintendo be knocking it out of the park with the Switch and the Switch Lite, and then doing so badly in the mobile space? And just doing atrociously there. There's been no game that has really, apart from Animal Crossing, there's been no game that has really kind of made me want to stay. I keep Mario Run on my iPhone just because I haven't got another red tile and it just fills up that screen, which is nice, and it's nice having Mario's face as well, but it's just there's nothing there. I've been playing a game called Agent Intercept on Apple Arcade. It was a new game that came out last week on Apple Arcade, which is $4.99 a month for 100 games, not just to play 200cc. And Agent Intercept, even though I've now kind of taken it to the Apple TV or my iPad, so I'm using my dual shock controller, even on the phone where it tilts it the right way rather than upright, which Mario Kart does, Agent Intercept works really well. Even just sliding, doing power slides, boosting, shooting other cars that are coming up, it really works well on screen. And I was quite surprised because I'm not a touchscreen kind of guy. But I was just really surprised at how well it was working. And I was like, why can't they do this in Mario Kart?
Yeah, I watched one of the Giant Bomb quick looks. Or they were going through Apple Arcade, and it happened to catch Agent Interceptor, and it looked fine. It looked like a good fun little phone game, like very nicely styled as well,
yes.
Quite cartoonish. What was that? There was a spy game ages ago that I think PlayStation had as well. But it looks very stylized, very colourful, very it's a knowing nod that it's got some humour rather than taking itself too seriously. And yeah, I would happily play that far longer than whatever Mario Kart's doing.
Yes.
But,
it kind of reminded me a little bit of, is it Cobra Triangle that was on Rare Replay? Was it Cobra Triangle?
Oh, yeah,
because at one point you're a car, you can then turn into a boat. You kind of have those kind of different, and you're kind of shooting. And I was just like, oh yeah, this is quite. But like I say, the art style is fantastic. The art style is really kind of reminds me of Incredibles as well. So you got a bit of Cobra Triangle,
yes, yeah, that's a good touch.
Bit of Spy Hunter, a bit of Incredibles, all kind of mixed in, and they do weekly different missions unlock each week. And there's no, obviously with Apple Arcade, there's no extra purchases. You don't need to pay $38.99 to unlock Diddy. But but it controls really well on the phone, and I'm using the iPhone 10 at the moment, iPhone X at the moment, and it just works really well. I kind of find that with my big old thumbs, I do find that my thumb moves up the screen. I end up obscuring kind of like a third of the screen sometimes because I'm moving away, and I have to keep kind of pushing up. But Mario Kart could have been so good. It could have been so good on the phone.
I'd almost take you up on one of the points though that I don't always think the Nintendo the phone games have to live with you for that long.
Right.
Animal Crossing, yeah, that seems to have gone on forever because Ali is still playing.
Wow, still going. I mean, they've just announced a Halloween, haven't they? A Halloween pack and stuff.
I know this would be like the third Halloween. Ali's been going for 2 years on it now, and
wow.
As someone who has objectively looked at it, going, and Animal Crossing isn't the most thriller minute game in the world, so please take this. But looking at breaking down the mechanics of Animal Crossing on the phone just makes my heart weep. It's distills what is still quite a strict structure around Animal Crossing and goes we'll take all the freedom of choice out from you. Don't worry. Anyway, she enjoys it. I'm assured it's fine. But that's fine. Like I'm quite happy to have one of those games that lives forever. But then like Mario Run, I think it's fine to have a game that like lives and exists for a couple of months and then goes. Same with Dr. Mario. I was fine that I had that for a month, I played it and I let it go. It doesn't have to be this, well I guess it does have to be this sort of money sink in this day and age, but it's disappointing that there's so much of it is geared towards give me some money, give us some money. I'd have much preferred, and I think as the cry goes out, and was why Apple Arcade stands, give me a good game and I will pay money for it. And I know we're in the minority and it's infuriating, but yeah.
But I can't believe it. I did not know, because it shows how much I was kind of like, just get me into the racing. I want to see what the racing's like. I didn't know there was like £5 a month just to kind of a subscription for Mario Kart. That's just crazy. That's crazy.
The deeper you get, the darker it gets.
Wow.
Anyway, let's move on to Shiny Time, so I can just let my blood pressure come back up again. So no real indie corner this week. Nothing new and exciting. But I did dive into a few of the ones that I mentioned last time on Xbox Game Pass. So I had a look at Creature in the Well, and Creature in the Well is pinball inspired, pinball adjacent, if you will, where it's a like top down dungeon crawly type game, and you go into different rooms in the dungeon, and there's usually a puzzle there that involves orbs of light coming out at you, and you have to hold them and charge them and then fire them in different ways at different holes or different bounces, and try and set off all these like little triggers at the same time, and a door will open. It's all right. It's all right. I think it became quite one note quite quickly. There's the joy of what was it, Yoko's Island Express, which was the last pinball inspired game I got. That was really nice. It was like a Metroidvania as you could unlock slightly different skills for the balls and your movement to get around it. This is limited by the fact that the puzzle has to take place on one screen, like the old style Zelda rooms. So there's a novelty of trying to figure out the puzzle, of trying to maybe dodge lasers while you're trying to shoot all the bumpers at the same time, or maybe trying to get all the bumpers in one single shot. But it just didn't hold my attention for that long, because they were all very similar essences. There was, what's your skill shot? Can you get it down this line? And it just ran out of steam, ran out of variety for me wanting to press any further. But it's on Game Pass, and that's what Game Pass is for. So I'm happy I tried it. I'm always happy to try something different, and I mean that. I always love to try new mechanics over just the same old games. And then Enter the Gungeon, which a couple of my friends have been absolutely raving about, and I have enjoyed this. I've just been distracted by geese and Zelda, but I will be going back to this. It's a roguelite. It's another dungeon crawler. So you go through, and it's all procedurally generated. You are. I chose to be a hunter because it had a tiny dog. The tiny dog accompanied me round the dungeon. It was very cute. Occasionally finding treasure. Sorry, that's my dog voice. It's got a touch of Borderlands in it as well, where it has just a huge variety of guns. Adapted to it. So there are your usual, here's a shotgun. The hunter's got a bow and arrow that tends to one-shot people. You've got an infinite use pistol as well, which is, it's standard to keep you going. But then I found guns that had, like bouncy grenades, or ones that would shoot behind you and in front of you, or I picked up a frog that would allow me to shoot bubbles that would be slow reacting, but then would like damage, like drop poison where they burst or something like that. It was the more you pushed into it, the weirder the guns got, and it's got like a collector's book of all the different type of guns you can get. So I'm assuming this just keeps on going. There must have been just like, what do we want this gun to do? Oh, this one passes through ones and like shoots twice as much damage. I don't know. There's just random stuff, but it also seems quite hard.
Right.
Which I'm not against, because if you give me a roguelite, I want runs not to last an eternity.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to going back, getting a bit better, this like twin stick style shooter. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Worth checking out. Enter the Gungeon on Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, superb! I've been hovering over it. I was looking at. I had a quick go of Blair Witch today, just to kind of have a look, see what that was like. And that's got a dog, not a tiny dog. It's got a big dog. But that was that looked quite good. But I was kind of, can I jump into the Gungeon? Should I have a play? And I kind of, that sounds like it could be fun, because there's Exit the Gungeon is on Apple Arcade, so I'm guessing that's kind of. It looks a little bit like Downwell. Exit. I think it's like a platforming kind of either climbing or descending. But it's really interesting. So I might just kind of fire up into Gungeon. It sounds good. It sounds fun.
Yeah. I think it's especially nice because you will be able to just like drop in and play. It's
excellent, and it'll be a really quick download. So maybe I can get some play into, like, because like I say, Nicola's 4-starring Overcooked. So I just have to sit in the corner and not look at her because I put her off by all accounts.
Stay quiet.
Exactly. She's got 2 more to go, and they're really tricky, and so that's kind of doing her head in at the moment, which is really funny. But I think the only other game that we've been playing when she's not kind of overcooking is Borderlands 3. So we jumped we finished Gears. I think when I was podding with Stu, I finished Gears 5, which was really cool. Got that ready for some hoarding. So we jumped into Borderlands 3. So before we packed off to our friend's wedding in Norwich the other weekend, we had a day where we just kind of went for a wander around Tunbridge Wells and things. But we had a morning and an afternoon kind of couple of hours where we were just playing Borderlands 3. So really kind of getting into it, which is great, because it meant that we kind of played until we kind of got off of Pandora, because in Borderlands 3 it's not just Pandora now. You get to kind of go into Sanctuary, which is a ship, and that takes you to different worlds as well. So it was so we jumped into Borderlands 3, and so far I'm really enjoying it. I'm still waiting for some better weapons. It's that point where it's early on, and I'm waiting for those weapons that really kind of click with me. I normally kind of like a big rocket launcher, big meaty rocket launcher. So I've just got one when the last time we were playing, which was really cool. I've been using my gold keys, which you kind of get from putting in shift codes and stuff like that. But so far, I think I'm level 10. We've been playing it for like I say, a good kind of 4-ish hours, and I'm really enjoying it. I've decided that I was going to go with something a little bit different, but instead I ended up going for the kind of the gunner character again. I ended up going for I can't remember his name now. It was Zane, I think it was. Yeah, I think I'm Zane, kind of because of the gadgets.
Sounds like a gunner.
Yeah, it does. He's got lots of gadgets. He's got like a flying drone that does lots of kind of shooting, and if you just aim at someone, they will kind of zero in on them. So we've taken out a couple of bosses and really kind of just having some good fun on it. But I must say, it looks stunning. I think I was talking about this before, but it looks really good. It looks really good on Nicola's TV, on the big TV. It looks absolutely fantastic in like 4K HDR. But on the 1080p TV, when I change it to, I think I did it to performance rather than resolution, and it just makes the screen just look incredible. I kept going, my screen's just as good as yours. I was just like really kind of, but it's very good. So we're really enjoying it. It's that kind of, it's just more kind of Borderlands kind of magic, where I guess you're just going through, you're just chuckling at some of the jokes. Some you eye roll, some you chuckle at, but it's just really good. The great thing about that they've kind of introduced in Borderlands 3 is that right from the start, when you're setting up your room, you can say whether you want to play cooperative or competitive. So you can have competitive co-op, and that means that when there's a gun there, it's like whoever wants it, whoever needs it, the ammo is shared out.
First one to run.
Exactly. What we've decided to do is do the co-op, the kind of cooperative ones. And what that means is that when you take down an enemy, Nicola will get a set of guns, I will get a set of guns. We'll get our own guns. So there's no more kind of, I've got this gun over here, do you want it? Or I've got this relic, or whatever. You just get your own, and the ammo is just given to both of you, and the money, I think the money always was given to all of you in Borderlands, but that's kind of shared as well. So it's really nice that it just does that. You don't have to worry about that aspect. So, but the downside of that means that Nicola kind of fills up her backpack quite quickly, and she just spends so long at the machines, because you go up to a vending machine and you can sell and buy new weapons, but she takes so long at those machines. She just like looks and she wants to try out every weapon. Me, I'm like, yeah, this one's more powerful, I'm going to go with this one. But for Nicola, she's more kind of like, I just want to try this one out. So I think there was one point where I'm just looking at Twitter, like I'm just there. My character's just like staring at me, and while Nicola's kind of going through her vending machines. So whenever we see those, it's a gift and a curse, a vending machine. But it's nice to be thorough. But yeah, so it's really good. And now we've started going to the different planets. You start getting a different art style, which is really cool for like Borderlands. And we've now got very kind of neon, a very neon planet that we're on. And you now unlock these they're like a big wheel with a seat in the middle. It's kind of like one of the pod racers in the Phantom Menace had one. It was just kind of like a big kind of round wheel, and so rather than Nicola having to be on the back of what I'm driving, which she always hates because I'm such a bad driver in Borderlands. So much so that I have to have a pink car, because I am that bad at driving. So Nicola kind of says, right, get your pink car, and I'm just really bad at it. So we've now got our own cars, which is great fun. But these things really do just kind of speed around, and it's good fun. I'm just enjoying it. It's just a really nice kind of chuckle until I guess for me it's like Luigi's Mansion and then Star Wars, so Borderlands is kind of when we're not watching some TV or doing other stuff, it's like Borderlands 3 is the one that I just kind of want to jump back into.
So it sounds like it's quite an easy play, as it were, then sort of just the gentle, comfortable, just the go-to.
Yes, because you could just jump in and just do a couple of side missions. You could just kind of just jump in, do a couple of side missions, and then an hour later you're kind of out and you're ready to watch the Bake Off. It's that kind of you're ready to kind of go. So it's really cool. I'm looking forward to just kind of jumping in and playing some more.
Nice.
Excellent stuff. Right, is there anything else, James, that you've been playing?
No. I think that is it. He says, checking the list. Yeah. Bit of pinball, but yeah, that is the bulk of it.
Nice, that's a nice mixture of games. Let's jump into the news, but before we jump into the news, don't forget you can rate, review and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes, Spotify and also on YouTube. In the news section this week, PlayStation 5 has officially been announced and named. Can you guess what it is? Call of Duty breaks records, and we have a new Avenger stepping into the lineup. But James, the first piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yes, and we spoke about Mario Kart Just. Did you know that it was downloaded 90 million times in its first week?
What?
I would love to find out how many times it's been uninstalled. But
yes.
But do you know what's done more than that? So Call of Duty Mobile launched last week. Like the puzzled look on Antony's face is quite impressive right now. There is a portable version of Call of Duty, and listening to some hands-on impressions, it sounds like it's an online shooter.
Yes.
That doesn't appear to have anything in common with Call of Duty bar the branding.
Right.
I've heard a few people say like the whole infrastructure, the whole like the look, the feel, well, just isn't Call of Duty. I think it's even got an auto. I think if I'm right in saying, you basically move around using the phone, but there's no shoot. Like as soon as your crosshairs go over someone, your gun shoots. Wow. Which I think that's I'm intrigued. I'm almost intrigued as to download it to play it. Not that intrigued. I'm almost intrigued as to play it. But I think again this is like a really nice novel solution to a possible problem of how you get dual stick shooters onto a phone. Obviously, Fortnite and PUBG have done that before. But this sounds like it could be. Obviously, it's a unique platform. You could only play that against other phone people. But I want to experiment with that. I'm getting further away from the point. I'm further away from the point. So. Call of Duty launched. It did 100 million downloads in the first week, which is some sort of all-time record. I think it was almost a 50-50 split. I think 54% on iOS, the rest on Android. Wow. And to put this in context, PUBG shipped 28 million in the same time, and Fortnite, admittedly only on iOS, the first while was 22, 23 million.
Wow.
So, I can only assume, because this seemed to stealth out, that word of mouth and the Call of Duty sites just got behind this massively. Almost $18 million in the first week as well dropped on that.
Holy moly.
It just shows that no matter what your franchise is, there will be a mobile variant on it at some point in time. But But yeah, I want to see how well this goes, because there's a lot of talk about how PUBG and Fortnite especially have managed to increase their market massively by putting out the portable tablet games. Like, you don't need to put Bluetooth on it. They've got a reasonable virtual joystick on there. But then Call of Duty just trying to do something a bit different and just removing a level of frustration or weakness from the virtual pad. So I think I'm going to keep a tab on that and might actually download it this week to have a go.
That's just incredible. Do you know what they're buying? What people are buying? Is it just like level ups or cosmetics or?
I would assume, like, having not looked massively into it, I would assume cosmetics is a massive part of that. But equally, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a leveler, like a speed leveler or something that's been in quite a few of those games. So. Yeah,
like a multiplier or something like that. I think you kind of like...
Yeah, because I'm sure they've sold those before in other ones. But, it's... let's see what Call of Duty Home.
Well, there we go. Customize your unique loadout. As you play Call of Duty Mobile, you'll unlock dozens of famous characters, weapons, outfits, score streaks, and pieces of gear. They can be used to customize your loadout. So I guess you could also buy those as well. They've got...
yes. Players iconic heroes from Black Ops and Modern Warfare. So this is where it goes. This is where it was all going.
Holy moly, they got 5v5, deathmatch, frontline, free-for-all, search and destroy, sniper battle, and also a battle royale, all in that game. And it's 1.5 gig. It's 1.5 gig on download.
Oh, did you hear how much the new version of Call of Duty is?
No.
175 gig.
Oh my god, I better kick that off now.
Yeah, start that now. Bump up your bandwidth data caps.
Is that? I guess that's kind of going to be kind of single player and multiplayer to kind of because I was what was I playing? I jumped. Oh, that was it. I was downloading the PlayStation Plus games for this month because it's MLB 19, MLB The Show 19, and it's also Last of Us Remastered. And I was just like, oh, I'll just download that. And Last of Us Remastered, when you kind of start to play it, it said, right, what do you want to play, single player or multiplayer? So, which I thought was really interesting. I thought that was really kind of that they were giving you the option to kind of choose which one you wanted to go first, which I think kind of leads very much into what we'll be talking about in a moment with the PlayStation 5. But I just thought, but 170 gig?
Yeah, this is the PC version, so I assume even if you've got like a min-spec PC, it's pulling down like the 4K mega textures.
Yes.
Or whatever it is, but that's... I think I'm clearing off half my hard drive. So yes, that was your Call of Duty hot minutes there. Just some large numbers for us to go, what?
Wow. That's really good. I mean, like I say, it's really interesting. I've got the App Store page open now. I might just hit that get button and just have a look and see what it's like. I'm curious now, James. You have me curious too.
Yes. So, we sort of buried the lead, though, because of just the way we do this. But I think the biggest piece of news, though, is with you this week.
It is indeed. And that is that PlayStation 5, or Sony, announced their next-generation console, and they gave it a name, which is, wait for it, it's the PlayStation 5. And it was really funny. They were like, and we're calling it the whole piece, the whole article that came out on Wired was pretty much, here we've got a new console coming out, and it's been coming out in holiday late 2020, so you can November onwards, 2020. So we're a year and change away from a new PlayStation, and they're like, and we're calling it the PlayStation 5, and I was just like, wow, shocker. And it's a great article on Wired. They basically just kind of go through some of the announcements that they kind of announced with the PlayStation 5, such as the new PlayStation controller, which will no doubt be called the DualShock 5, which I think is now starting to go out to developers. So they released a dev kit. Dev kit's already out there. We've already had reports of dev kits in the wild, but what they've done now is they've started to release this new Joy-Con, this new controller, and they're saying that it's heavier than the DualShock 4, but it's lighter than the Xbox controller with batteries. So that's kind of gives you a good idea idea of kind of like the weight of it. So it's not as hefty as an Xbox controller, but it's heavier than the DualShock. And I think for me that's a good thing, because I kind of want my DualShock to just be a little bit more beefier, a little bit more heavier, which is why I bought a third-party one. But I think the news that needs to be talked about is that the new controller has haptic feedback. So what they're doing is they're placing haptic feedbacks in the controller itself. So rather than the rumble that we've had in DualShocks for years, we're going to get more of a kind of a haptic feedback, which I think we already have. Does that already happen in Xbox? It does, doesn't it? In the Elite.
I think the term haptic feedback, I think, can be bandied around to mean many things. Like I think the points, and I could be getting this wrong, I think haptic feedback is just giving you feedback on the situations that they're like there's a light rumble if you're going over gravel and massive rumble if you're going over big rocks, that sort of thing. But the actual interview they did on Wired seemed to say that the chap doing the interview, who I will pull up the name to give due credit for, because that's just mean otherwise, Peter Rubin talking to PlayStation about it, was saying that he'd played a custom demo from the teams that had brought the VR like demo software together, and it sounded like the actual sticks themselves had like haptic feedback, force feedback on it. And I could be getting the wrong end of the literally the stick in this situation, but it sounded like if you were walking through mud, like there would be resistance on the sticks. If you were walking through ice, there'd be like no resistance at all, and you'd be twitching everywhere. And equally, if you're walking through water, then you get that sort of like sluggishness again. So like I think that's a really nice example to give, because it shows that there could be some play, there could be some interesting changes, because you always get used to the movements. If on Hitman, if I'm sneaking slowly around it, it's always a very same steady considered pace, and you know what that is, and the gameplay situation, no matter what you're doing, doesn't change. So if you're playing Uncharted, I guess the same as there. You're mowing down millions of innocents, and you just moving the same no matter what. Sorry, was that? I'm sorry. But equally, the ability to adapt how you are controlling it as the situation changes, I think, is a fascinating one. If you are just running away and then diving into water, and all of a sudden you have to really think and slow down and move your efforts to control yourself underwater. Well, like think of when Lara Croft at the start of, was it the second Tomb Raider, was like having to wade through snow.
Yes.
If this is what they're meaning, like if that is what I take from that little paragraph there about the full like sense of movement being relayed back, that I'm interested.
Yes.
That I think will be amazing. If it's just a different rumble, then it can sod off, because I really don't care.
Well, they also said that they're going to have adaptive triggers as well, didn't they? So there's like adaptive triggers that can offer varying levels of resistance to make shooting a bow or an arrow feel like the real thing. So as well as having that, you imagine like that scene from Tomb Raider where you're trudging through snow, but you've got your bow and arrow out. The two of those things together will really make for a real, I don't want to say it, but visceral experience. You'll really feel what you're doing. You'll feel, all you need is, Ali to then kind of open the fridge door, and you're getting cold, and then you're there. This is a whole new level of gaming that we've got here. It's really, I really like I'm with you. I really hope that it is just kind of not just on the triggers, not just the rumble of the controller, but really just kind of feeling those sticks as well, and really kind of feeling a little bit of resistance, because it happens sometimes when you're playing, a racing game or something like that. You can really feel it in Forza sometimes. You know that you're losing that car, and whether that's through what you're seeing and also what you're feeling, the rumble and everything, but just having those sticks really kind of giving you a bit of resistance would be really cool.
Yeah, as long as they've got the accessibility options to turn it all off again, that'll be good. But it's nice to see that with yet another generation they're trying something new with a controller, because I liked the concept of their little map touchpad.
Yes.
But honestly, nothing ever made good use of it, in my mind. Nothing that made intuitive use of it, shall we say.
It's like the speaker as well, isn't it? The speaker with the controller.
Oh, the speaker was fun.
Yeah, the speaker when you're playing Resogun, and it was just telling you human captured, that sort of stuff. Yeah. And there was other games that maybe you had telephones through it and things like that. I thought that was quite good. And obviously, with Death Stranding coming out very soon, the little bibbies will coo and everything out of that as well. So which will be quite interesting. But I think the other highlights in this article that Wired, and this is the second Wired article that the PlayStation have given to Wired. This second article that PlayStation have given to Wired. It's just so it must be their magazine of choice at Sony, because they definitely
or there's some photos that can never be shown.
Yes, Wired has some dirt on Mark Cerny.
On Shuhei, yeah.
Shuhei's not as innocent as he looks. And then the other things in the article is that the ray tracing acceleration will be at the GPU. So rather than being software and rather than being an emulator, it's actually going to be in the GPU. And I'm guessing that's a good thing, James. It sounds like a good thing.
Yes. Yeah, it means it's hardware supported at that point in time. So it's, rather than having to emulate it, which is far, far slower going through software, if they've actually got some metal doing it, then it's native, and they'll still take a chunk of processing to get done, but you're more likely to get it more often if it's supported straight from the graphics card.
Fantastic. And then I think the last kind of really interesting snippet was that physical games for the PS5 will use 100 gig optical discs, and the optical disc will also double as a 4K Blu-ray player. So I think that's kind of one of the things that was really missing from the PlayStation 4 Pro was the 4K Blu-ray player. So now that they've realised that mistake, the entertainment division is now talking to the gaming division. They're like, we didn't realise we had one of those, and so those guys are now talking, and it's going to be 100 gig optical discs, and there will be a 4K Blu-ray player. So I already feel that the PlayStation 5 is already kind of maybe righting some wrongs of the PlayStation 4, but also doing some new stuff and some cool stuff. And I think there was also talk about there could potentially be a microphone in the controller as well. That could be interesting. That could be really again, it could just be about pushing the boundaries. And so I really like the idea of that. But I guess this is all we got, and it was a really cool article because PlayStation kind of came out. They didn't really show it. They told Holiday 2020 that it's going to be the PlayStation 5. It's got these kind of 3 or 4 kind of real bullet points, but of course it made us all excited. You saw our WhatsApp group. We did start getting into a conversation about it, and everybody started talking. And I bet if you look out on the various podcasts, of which ours is the best, obviously, you'll be seeing a lot of people be talking about this. So they really have controlled the message right now by putting this Wired article. So I think this is a really cool move, a really clever move on Sony's part to kind of get out there, keep talking. And it's really interesting because you sit here, you read through all this, you enjoy this, and I'll put a link to the Wired article, but then you instantly kind of turn over to Microsoft and go, okay, you next, and it's just like, right, give us some, because they've done it, we now want you to do it. And it's really, I love this console race that we're getting into now, which will be a year long. But it's just really interesting just to kind of see the back and forth that we're going to see, the ping pong in between Microsoft and Sony.
Yeah, because I think the last time they announced it was some snippets about the PlayStation 5 was about a month or so before E3, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
And so this is a month or so before XO19. So I guess they're trying to get out ahead of that and give themselves some space, and then not allow their news to breathe without getting swallowed up with whatever Microsoft is going to do. So yeah, I also think it's very clever because they seem to. There's a lot of coverage for comparatively little. Mm-hmm. Because I think the article in some way pads with here's the PlayStation 5, shocker. Here's a bit of recap of some of the specs, which are I think if my notes are right, they're sharing similar CPUs with the Xbox, and they're sharing similar GPUs with the Xbox, which makes sense because all the third parties will be happy with that. But then I almost want this haptic thing. I want to see more about the haptic thing. So again, they've just dangled something that that you really want to go deeper on. Like, what else could you do with this? Like, what are the limitations? What are the actual specs with it? Although did you see? Although they've announced the PlayStation 5, and I did chortle at this, they haven't announced the DualShock 5. No. The name of the controller will be that'll be a secret. It'll be a secret for the time being.
Yes, I wonder what that's going to be. Let's put bets on right now. Let's go into William Hill right now. I bet it's going to be called the DualShock 5. Comes out and it's called Steve. But and the
branding with Minecraft.
Yeah, the new DualShock, which we won't say is called 5, and so it's called 5. But the new DualShock will have USB Type C, so which I think unifies that as well, which is nice. The iPad that I have right now is C, and it's only the iPhones I think that are still Lightning. So that kind of unifies it. I'd quite like because I'm getting used to, like with my watch and my phone and stuff, the contactless charging. The kind of plate charging. I'd quite like a bit of that. That you have a nice little swanky PlayStation mat that you just put your controller on and it just kind of charges. I quite like the idea of that. But USB Type C will be charging, and they reckon that it will have a larger battery capacity as well, even though probably the haptic motors will probably drain that anyway. It's like the iPhones, isn't it? Or the phones. It's like, we've got the same battery, but we're giving you all this extra power, so the battery's going to drain. But it will be good to kind of see that. And I think, and the only other news that we had from here was that Blue Point Games, I'm just trying to find the point. Yeah, here we are. Blue Point Games, Marco Thrush, president of Blue Point Games, said that they are working on something big right now. So this is really kind of the first PlayStation 5 game that we know about, and they basically just said they're working on a big one right now. So these are the guys that did the remake of Shadow of the Colossus, so working on a big one right now. I was trying to rack my brains today to try and figure out what that could be. Do they mean that they're working on a big game, or they're going to remake something in the style of kind of Shadow of Colossus? So take a beloved Sony PlayStation kind of franchise and remake it similar to what they did with Shadow of Colossus. Yeah,
I'm just reading through the article, and it seems like it's just speculation that is tagging souls with it. But yeah, I think my feelings on remakes are always remasters. It's like if the I guess this is different, because if there's a remake and remaster of a game that you can already play on the platform, I always think that's just a bit of a shame. Like, I'd love devs to be able to, try new things, try and push forward or so. But I guess this is on the PS3, and with all its cell processors, it's hard to bring forward onto the new generation. So yeah, maybe you can get away with justifying this one. But it's like, if you're going to launch a console with a remake, it's like, please make sure there is other stuff to go along with it.
Yes. What would you like to? Is there any kind of games that you like? We'll obviously. Speaking for you, James, but I guess you'll be picking up a PlayStation 5 on day one.
Oh, yes. Of course. I don't know what I'll be playing on it yet, but it's that new tech lust.
Yes. It's firing up that new tech, looking at the new UI, just hearing that kind of fire up for the first time, switching out the old one. It's that whole day that is just amazing. But what games, is there any games that you would like to see kind of as part of your launch lineup for your PlayStation 5?
Ooh. I don't know, because almost as I hinted at earlier, I'm not a big fan of the Naughty Dog stuff. I love the narrative aspects, but the fact that it just always leads to, and I'm going to sound like a curmudgeon, but like, you always have to end up shooting someone. And I'd love to see like a Naughty Dog one where you could actually just enjoy the story. If there was if Spider-Man the next one hit as a launch title, that would be my go-to of the ones that I can think of. But yeah, I can't think of that. Something nice and quirky out of Santa Monica.
Yes. I quite like the idea of Horizon Zero Dawn 2, on PS5. I mean, I guess what we have to remember is that going forward on the PlayStation 5, which they've already said is backwards compatible, that all those games, the Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, you're going to be able to play those on your PlayStation 5. Do they improve the graphics? Will they look at the Xbox One X and they will improve them? If you grab Sea of Thieves, if you grab Gears, or Horizon, they look better on the Xbox One X. So will they be doing something similar to that when you fire up that kind of Xbox One X enhanced kind of mode on these games? Because that will be fantastic. Even though I've completed Spider-Man, just jumping back in and having a look at that on day one, you'll probably find you get your shiny PS5, but then you start playing God of War, which will then be. I mean, it's available now, isn't it? Until January on PlayStation Plus. So PlayStation Plus last week announced that they dropped the price to $8.99 a month. Which was, I think they've kind of slashed it kind of half price, which was really interesting. So that's now available, and God of War is available on that. So I was thinking, I might just do it for a month, and because I haven't played God of War, it's probably the wrong time of the year to kind of do that, because now you've got all of the new stuff that's coming out. There's new games aplenty at the moment, but I just thought that was quite interesting. I think that's rolling around until January, and then they take Uncharted and God of War out of that. But maybe that's PlayStation trying that Game Pass model, to see what fits for PS5.
Yeah, that seems to be dangling on the hook to try and get people in there. But
yeah, I think Horizon Zero Dawn 2 would be fantastic, just because that game looks stunning on the PS4 Pro. So seeing it on PlayStation 5 might just be incredible. But I think for me, I mean, I'd love a new Ratchet and Clank, especially. But the problem you have is that now that Sony own Insomniac Games, does that give them enough money, resource, availability to be able to make two games, so they can get cracking on Spider-Man for maybe November this comes out, we get a new Ratchet and Clank game, and then in the summer or early spring we get Spider-Man 2, because Spider-Man 2's only been out a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, I forgot it was just last summer, isn't it? It seems to be around for ages. But then I thought the same of Destiny 2, and that's been out for 2 years now. So this generation has flown by quickly.
Yes, so PlayStation 5 coming. I'm sure we're going to speak a lot more. Like you say, XO19. XO19 is just a month and change away, of which Stuart, Manny, and myself are going. So which could be fun. So we could get some really good. So we could find some snippets, some announcements from XO19, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of xCloud for Android people. I'm still not bitter. I'm sure a lot of xCloudy announcements, but it will be interesting to see if, now that Wired article is out, whether Phil and the gang kind of show us a little bit more of the next Xbox.
Yeah, I'm almost imagining like this. It's just the name has completely escaped me. The Jets and the Sharks, the West Side Story.
Yes.
Like Sony have just done their dance move. They've clicked their way over to the Sharks, and now the Jets with Phil at the front is just pondering their next move as they jive back into. Anyway,
yes, lots of clicking, and lots of clicking.
So if we haven't talked about enough PlayStation now, I've got another PlayStation story, because there's news breaking of the new PlayStation VR helmet that has made its way out of patent filings. So this got filed back in February, but it's only just come to light or been made public. But it's the spec and a few diagrams of what a potential new PSVR helmet could look like. And it looks like they're going for the inside-out tracking model, as they've got a couple of cameras on the front, they've got one on the back, and then a camera in each of the controllers as well. So, hopefully if you've got one in each hand, that's at least 5 cameras trying to track what you're doing at this point in time. Which should be good, because I always thought the limitation of last time round was... I didn't mind the iffy resolution on certain games, but the tracking I found lacked something, just based off of that one PlayStation Eye. And I used to drift. I used to find it drifted relatively quickly. So hopefully this is more reliable, and also leads to the potential for it being, wireless. There's talk about Bluetooth connections or wireless connections in the filing itself. But you think if the tracking and the or the gubbins is actually in there, then actually you could get away with just this free existence where you can just wander around your living room.
Oh, that's the dream. That's it. Because I love that with my Oculus Quest. It's so great just to be able to just quickly dive to the cupboard, stick it on, and you're playing Beat Saber in no time. Like they announced a new Panic at the Disco pack for Oculus for Beat Saber on Oculus Quest, and I think just on Beat Saber, and I was like, I'm not a big fan of Panic at the Disco, but I just like, some more tunes. So it was 5 minutes before I was in playing that game, downloaded the pack, and I was like, it's perfect. I might do it one day. I'll say to Nicola, right, we'll both go at the same time and see how long it takes you to put the Quest on and for me to get working on the PlayStation VR. I'm sure she'll be in like 5 games before I've even got it set up. But it's just so good. I would love this to be wireless. I would love the two things I would love would be either the PlayStation 5 increases the resolution of the existing PlayStation VR, but also make it easier to plug in as well, and also bring us another one that would be kind of wireless, and that would just be amazing.
Yeah, because they've already said the existing PSVR will be compatible with the PS5, but it seems like the right time to offer an upgrade as well. As you say, with if this is just for the tracking and if this is just for like the wireless, then there's no reason why any old helmet could not plug in, and it doesn't matter where the tracking or what have you comes from. It's all just down to the different hardware models. But the two cameras on the front though do offer a potential expansion, because I think they phrase it as a transparent view. So potential for AR, where the two cameras on the front basically just act as your eyes. So you could project a picture of what is in front of you to your eyeballs. So it sounds like they could really layer on some AR effects on that point.
That would be amazing. That would be fantastic. And I guess that's similar to like Oculus Quest. When you set your boundaries, you can see the room that you're in. So then just having kind of Star Wars characters popping in and out of that, opening that up, that would be fantastic. That is kind of a evolution of VR. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, I like the idea of like effectively a safety mode. Like somewhere there's a button on your headset that you could go like, right, drop the game, show me what's in front of me. How many rabbits am I about to trip over? This is essential.
Yes. But that would just be so cool. That would just, I like that. I like that a lot. That would be really cool. Anything else on the PSVR?
No. Just a filing that came out today, and I thought was novel and interesting, and hopefully a good way forward. For
it's all very exciting. I do like this. I like this that we're coming to a new generation. Could be quite expensive if they release PlayStation VR and the PS5 at the same time, as well as Xbox One.
We said that earlier in the week, didn't we? Like, was it 6 days in between the Xbox One and the PS4 launch? Just ate noodles the rest of the week, but it was worth it.
Superb. And then the last piece of news is with me, and that was that out of New York Comic Con that was over the weekend, Square Enix and Marvel announced that Kamala Khan, or Ms. Marvel to everybody else, is coming to the Avengers. So they released a great little Vidoc, which basically showed some origins of Miss Marvel and also of Kamala Khan, and just kind of showing kind of where she came from and what kind of character she was, and they showed the voice actor, but more importantly they just showed that how she as the protagonist in the game is going to kind of reunite the Avengers. So anyone who's seen the original trailer that came out, they were celebrating A-Day, Avengers Day, and then their ship, which has some new technology, explodes, which kind of killing thousands of people, as well as Captain America, and then they kind of very similar to Endgame, they go 5 years later, so they kind of go on to 5 years later, and we now see a very kind of disbanded, very downtrodden Avengers, and Kamala Khan is the one who is going to bring these together. So we're going to be, I would think we're going to be probably playing a lot as her, but she has some incredible abilities. So throughout the whole Vidoc, what they also said was how Kamala gets her powers, which was similar to the comic book, was in a day incident, she then inhales some smoke, some chemical, which then gives her powers, and her powers are quite cool. The best thing about her powers is I do like the fact that they have this. She has an embiggen state. I love the word embiggen. That's kind of now one embiggened. Yes, it's kind of like it's one of ultra embiggened is kind of one of my new favourite words. So it just means that she can grow, she can stretch, she can grow, she can shrink. So it kind of gives some really cool gameplay elements there for her. But she's an enthusiastic, spunky, tenacious kind of girl who is just there to. She's a real fangirl of the Avengers. She's a real kind of Avengers nerd. So she's trying to kind of be annoying and bring them together. I can relate to this character. I can be someone who's nerdy, excited, and annoying. Yes, this is a character for me. And so she is just then bringing the Avengers together, which will then kind of lead to all of those separate sections where you play as all the different Avengers. But this is. The more I see about this game, the more I'm kind of getting excited. I think last week we had all of the different costumes, and they kind of went through that as well in a separate Vidoc. But right now, it's all about kind of like Kamala Khan and just really kind of just. I'm just so happy that Ms. Marvel was in it, and I can't believe that I missed the fact that there was a little girl that looked like her in the original trailer. So I did not see that. I need to watch these trailers a bit more. I need to kind of
go frame by frame next time
exactly, and so she was in the original one, so which is really good. So it's not like they've just thrown her in there. They've been planning this all the way. This isn't just a new addition because maybe they weren't getting the right feedback. This is a new character, someone who hasn't been in the MCU, so which will also kind of help with that kind of whole kind of uncanny valley of these characters and the MCU characters, but it also will just be, we'll get our first taste of Kamala Khan, and I'm quite excited for Miss Marvel.
Excellent. I am silent merely because I just do not have the same enthusiasm, and I didn't want to stop your bubbling boyish glee at that point in time.
Sorry, I've been waiting all day to talk about this. I'm like really nerdy. I haven't read too many. I think Miss Marvel kind of came in and like Captain Marvel, I think issue 14 or something like that, about 5 years ago. She kind of came in as that character, as like a fangirl, and then she got some powers. So then I think within about 5 or 6 months, she spawned her own comic line because she was such a favourite. She went to the Captain Marvel with fan fiction, and she gave that to Captain Marvel. It was a real joyous storyline in the comic book. So to have her in the Avengers is just I'm really excited. I can't wait for this game.
I'm happy for different reasons because I always get Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel confused. And that's purely because I heard the names, I never saw the characters, so I kept calling Captain Marvel Miss Marvel for so long. So this is a service to me as well to stop offending you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, just roll my eyes, Captain Marvel James, Captain Marvel. He's done it again. But like
I don't know the DC universe. I'm sorry.
Oh. It's the same with Star Trek and Han Solo and the Chewbacca's.
Them big bears.
Yes. Oh my god! I'm probably speaking to the wrong person, and you'll probably just roll your eyes.
Is this the Le Creuset?
Oh yes, I didn't talk about the Le Creuset. I meant to talk about that, the top of the show, which was I just thought it was so funny. I put it in our WhatsApp group. Was that last Friday? I finished work. I was working from home. I said to Nicola, "I'll make a curry." I just kind of like finished work about 5:30. Nicola was on the way home. I was down there making a curry. I had my Jedi Fallen Order T-shirt on. I was making a curry in a Le Creuset, and then suddenly, while I was just like, I was browning the chicken and I was just cooking, I just thought, I'll have a quick look on Twitter, and there was this announcement that was that Le Creuset are bringing out a Star Wars range. There's a Han Solo and Carbonite, which I have to have for I just thought a brisket in that would just be the coolest thing to barbecue. And so there was me kind of like in Star Wars using Le Creuset cooking, and I just looked at Twitter, and there it was. So you have some Dutch ovens that were R2D2, BB-8, and C-3PO. There was some trivets that was Millennium Falcon and the Death Star. But more importantly, there was this just oven-proof dish that was Han Solo and Carbonite. So it was black, and on the top it just had the kind of Han Solo and Carbonite embossed in it. And when these pre-orders go up, which I think is the 1st of November, that's the one that, as exciting as you are about your Luigi statue tomorrow, I just thought, how cool would that be? You just get it out of the barbecue, the brisket in there bubbling away, and it's just there, and it'd just be such a great thing. I said to Nicola, if nothing else, I need the trivets, because we need a trivet. She was like, well, I need a trivet, and I was like, I have the trivet for us. Nicola got home on Friday, and I was so excited, and she was like, okay, calm down. I've seen your messages, but I haven't read them and I don't understand them. And I'm like, look, I'm in a Star Wars t-shirt and I'm cooking and they've done this. And she was just like, it was really funny. It was such a well-timed announcement that just had me very excited.
It's like I'm now no longer surprised at anything that they start sticking the brand on. But yeah, the R2-D2 part was the one that got me.
That was so good, wasn't it? It was just such a good pod. It was just like the BB-8 one was orange, a bit too orange, and I think there was also a Darth Vader Dutch oven as well. Which was quite interesting because we have a couple of those at home. But I was looking for a new one because I found a recipe for a cinnamon loaf cake that you cook inside one of those Dutch ovens, and I just thought that's the best way to wake Nicola up on a Sunday morning, like kind of with a Dutch oven kind of cinnamon cake. So I was like, oh, we need to get a bigger one so I could do this recipe. There is also, I could just cut the recipe down, I know that, but I just want to buy another one. So now it'll be coming out of a R2-D2 or a BB-8 Dutch oven. So I was quite excited. So I'm hoping they won't be too expensive when they kind of announce them, that they won't put a Star Wars tax on them, a geek tax. But yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool indeed. Excellent, superb. I'm glad I remembered that. That would have kicked me. I'd have kicked myself. I'm just going to add this to the end where I just talk at myself. I think the thing that I was going to say was, did you see the Picard trailer? Does that pique your interest? Does that Picard your interest at all? The new Picard.
Is that a film or a TV series?
It's a TV series on Amazon Prime.
Do you know what? I think I remembered that at one point and thought, well, I don't have Amazon Prime, so I'll just let it slide. Yes. Like the print, I do like Star Trek: The Next Generation, so I'm piqued because of that. But equally, it's like, well, I know I'm not going to watch it, so. But not worth building the hype over.
No, it was just really good to just see like Jean-Luc Picard and Troy and Riker kind of back, being old and awesome looking. I just Jonathan Frakes is he's directing the series as well, who plays Riker, and it's just good to see them in the trailer. It was a really good trailer, really quite. God, it was just like just kept getting. I think that's the problem at the moment. It's just there's so much good stuff happening, especially if you're a geek or a nerd. There's so much good stuff happening that you're just constantly excited throughout the weeks. There's like fab announcement after fab announcement. It's like there's Le Creuset, there's these people that you liked in Star Trek. There's this, there's that, and you're just like too much. I'm going to explode one day. It's going to be messy.
Just need to get through what we've got first.
Yes, and then, exactly. Right, that's enough for me rambling. That's about it for this episode. Huge thank you for listening, James. Ginormous thanks for pulling up on mic.
Our pleasure as always.
Thank you very much. Don't forget you can keep up with us at gamerslotspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook and on Twitter. We're at LostSparkPod. James, where can people catch up with you?
People can find me as Big Sheep on Twitter and Xbox and PlayStation Nintendo, and BigSheep014 on Instagram, where there's a lot of woolly things going on at the moment.
Oh, excellent stuff. How is that? How's your woolly world?
Ticking over. I took the pinatas for a photo shoot the other day, and now I'm trying to get a Triceratops done, so keeping me busy.
Nice. Excellent stuff. Superb. From me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch, PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback or any questions, or you want to know more about what I'm excited about, you can email us, or what pinball arcade machines that James wants to play. You can email us at feedback@gamerslotspark.com. Excellent stuff. That's about it. Say goodbye, James.
Goodbye.
Bye.